There are moments in life when injustice doesn't come with fists or raised voices. Sometimes it comes in the quietest, coldest ways, in sighs and eye rolls, in people looking away when someone needs help the most. It was 9:07 a.m. on a rainy Tuesday when Eleanor stepped into the Westwood Bank branch. She was 79 years old, wearing an old beige coat too thin for the storm outside. Her steps were slow but deliberate, and her hands clutched a worn brown envelope, one that held her last remaining cash. Her Social Security check had arrived late, and the electricity bill was due. She had no children, no husband. Just this task ahead: deposit the check, withdraw enough to survive, and get back home before the next rain came. The bank lobby buzzed like a machine, phones ringing, staff laughing, customers tapping impatiently. No one noticed her at first. No one offered a smile. She waited patiently in line, her feet trembling beneath her. When her turn came, she approached the young teller behind the counter, 20-something, perfectly groomed, chewing gum with the arrogance of someone who's never tasted real struggle. "Good morning, dear," Eleanor said softly, her voice warm. "I need to deposit this and withdraw $40, please." The teller barely looked up. "You need to fill out the deposit slip. Can't process anything without that." Eleanor's hands trembled as she fumbled with the pen. Her fingers were swollen from arthritis, her eyes too weak to see the fine print. She squinted, trying to make out the boxes. A minute passed. Then, a man behind her coughed impatiently. Another whispered, "She's holding up the whole line." Eleanor looked back apologetically, her eyes wet but still kind. "I'm sorry. I just can't quite see this line here," she said, showing the form. "Could you please help me fill it out?" The teller scoffed. "We don't do that, ma'am. You need to fill it out yourself. If you can't, maybe come back with someone next time." The words hit like ice. Still, Eleanor smiled faintly. "I don't have anyone." Silence, sharp, cold. The teller leaned back, rolling her eyes, muttering to a coworker. "They come in here thinking we're their nurses." Her colleague laughed. The security guard at the corner smirked, shaking his head. Not a single person said anything. The room had eyes, but no courage. They saw her pain, but turned away. And Eleanor stood there, shoulders bent, dignity fading, just trying to complete a simple transaction. Then the door opened. The bell above jingled softly, and a tall figure walked in, so effortlessly calm it seemed time slowed for a second. Raindrops glistened on his navy blue jacket. A gray shirt clung to his chest. Black jeans, dark boots, and a light beard framed his focused face. He looked like he had walked out of a movie. Except he wasn't acting. Keanu Reeves had just entered the bank. Most people didn't recognize him at first. He wasn't surrounded by cameras, no red carpet. Just a man with quiet confidence and a deep, observant gaze. He stood near the door, hands in his jacket pockets. Watching, he didn't move like a celebrity. No phone, no noise. Just stillness, but he saw everything. He saw Eleanor, struggling. He saw the teller mocking her. He saw the room silence. The type that betrays people when they need others to speak up. And then, like a fuse lit beneath the surface, Keanu walked forward. "Excuse me," he said, calmly but firmly. "Is there a problem here?" The teller blinked, annoyed. "Sir, if you're here to make a deposit, please wait for your turn," I asked. Keanu said, stepping closer, "Is there a problem here?" Now the tone shifted. Staff members looked up. A few customers turned. Something about the voice, its control made people listen. The teller tried to brush it off. "She's taken a long time, that's all." Keanu looked at Eleanor, still holding the pen, her hands shaking. "She's not taking time," he replied. "She's asking for help." "There's a difference." The bank manager walked over, fake smile in place. "Sir, I'm sure we can resolve this peacefully." Keanu turned his eyes to him. Calm, steady. "Peacefully?" he echoed. "The only person who's been peaceful. Here is her." Now murmurs began. A man near the door whispered, "Is that Keanu Reeves?" A woman pulled out her phone. "It's really him." But Keanu didn't care about the attention. He focused only on Eleanor. "May I?" he asked, gently taking the form from her. She looked up at him, startled, then nodded slowly. He filled it out line by line, steady and clear. His hands didn't shake. His voice didn't waver. Then he turned to the teller. "Now you can process it." The teller froze. The bank manager swallowed hard. "Sir, we really apologize," Keanu cut him off. "She came here for help. Instead, she got humiliated. If this is how your staff treats elders, then maybe it's time someone rewrote your training manual." He didn't yell. He didn't threaten, but every word landed like thunder, and in that moment the entire bank fell silent, not out of fear, but out of respect, because the man who had just stood up didn't have to. But he did, and that's what made it powerful. The silence in the bank was now thick, like the pause between lightning and thunder. Keanu handed the completed form to the teller with calm precision. The young woman took it with trembling fingers, suddenly aware that she wasn't just dealing with an elderly woman anymore. She was under the gaze of a man who didn't flinch in gunfire on screen and didn't stay silent in the face of injustice off it. But still, she processed the form quickly, as if trying to erase the moment and move on. The printer spat out the receipt, and Eleanor, still stunned, reached for her envelope. Keanu looked at her gently. "Would you like me to walk you out?" he asked. Her eyes watered. She hadn't heard kindness like that in a long, long time. "Yes." "Thank you," he offered his arm. She took it with hesitation at first. Then, with comfort, like an old friend returning, the two began walking toward the exit slowly, gracefully past all the frozen faces that just moments ago chose silence. But before they reached the door, a voice cracked through the silence. "Wait." It was the bank manager. His expression had shifted, no longer defensive. Now it was something else. Recognition. He squinted, stepping forward. You're Keanu Reeves?" Keanu paused. The entire lobby turned toward him. "I am," he said plainly. The energy in the room changed instantly. The woman with the phone now gasped, "Oh my God, I knew it! I told you!" People started whispering. Customers pulled out their phones. Staff members stood straighter. The same security guard who laughed earlier was now stiff at attention, but Keanu didn't change. He didn't act superior. Didn't smirk. Just stood there, holding Eleanor's arm, as if fame had no weight at all. The manager cleared his throat and stepped forward. "Sir, we deeply apologize for what just happened. This is not how we treat our clients." Keanu raised a hand. "Don't apologize to me." He turned slightly toward the teller and her coworkers. "Apologize to her." Now the teller's face flushed red. I'm sorry," she stammered. "I didn't mean to disrespect you, ma'am." Eleanor blinked. It had been decades since anyone had publicly stood up for her like that. And now here she was being apologized to by the same people who mocked her 5 minutes ago. Keanu spoke again, low and steady. "You never know who's watching. But more importantly, you never know what someone is carrying. This woman has lived longer than most of us here. She deserves your respect. Not because I walked in, but because she's a human being." The weight of the moment hit the room like a sermon. Even the customers who came in for withdrawals or balance checks now stood quietly, almost ashamed of their earlier silence. Then someone clapped. It started from the far corner. A man in a business suit. Then another joined in. And soon the lobby was filled with soft, respectful applause, not for Keanu but for Eleanor, because they finally saw her. She wasn't invisible anymore. She smiled, her lips trembling as she turned to Keanu. "You didn't have to do this," she said softly. "I know," he replied. "That's why I did." The applause faded. The moment settled. Then one of the younger staff, perhaps wiser than the others, stepped out from behind the counter and walked to Eleanor. "Would you like a seat?" she asked, her tone sincere. Eleanor nodded. They led her to a plush chair. In the corner, someone brought her water. Another staff member offered to help her enroll in online banking. For the first time in years, she was treated like she mattered. As she sat down, Keanu looked at the manager. "I hope this changes something." "It will," the manager said quickly, nodding. "We'll speak to the team immediately." But Keanu wasn't done. He stepped to the middle of the bank, looking around at the crowd. "This isn't about one bank. It's about how we treat the people who built the world we now live in. If an elderly person is slow in line, Be patient. If someone's struggling, help. Don't wait for a celebrity to walk in before you act human. You could hear a pin drop. A mother hugged her son a little tighter. A teenager put his phone away. Even the security guard looked down, ashamed. Keanu nodded once, then returned to Eleanor's side. I can drive you home if you'd like, he said. Eleanor chuckled lightly. I think I'd like that very much. They left the bank together. Fanfare, no flashing lights. Just two people walking into the rain under one umbrella as the world inside the bank stayed frozen in thought. And though the thunder outside rumbled faintly, it was nothing compared to the storm Keanu left behind in their hearts. By the time Keanu drove Eleanor home that day, the storm had passed, not just the one outside, but the one inside her heart too. She sat quietly in the passenger seat, watching the raindrops roll across the window, thinking about how one moment, one person had shifted everything. Keanu didn't talk much. He simply drove with calm and care, as if every red light and stop sign mattered. And in that silence, something profound bloomed. Eleanor hadn't smiled like this in years. When he pulled up to her humble apartment building, she turned to him. I don't know how to thank you. You already did, he said gently, but before she stepped out, he handed her something, a small card with his assistant's contact info. If you need help with anything ever, don't hesitate. She looked at it like it was gold. He watched her walk to the door, safe, slow, and now seen. What Keanu didn't know was that while he had been focused on kindness, someone else had been focused on their phone. The moment Eleanor was mocked. The moment Keanu stepped in. It had all been recorded. That video hit the internet before he even got home. And within 2 hours, it was everywhere. It started small, shared in a local Facebook group with the caption, Keanu Reeves just changed. How an entire bank treated an elderly woman. This is how you use your voice. Then TikTok got hold of it. Then Twitter. Then news outlets. By the morning, hashtag Keanu Kindness was trending in 47 countries. Clips of him gently holding Eleanor's arm were replayed over inspirational music. Quotes from his speech in the bank were turned into Instagram graphics. Don't wait for a celebrity to walk in before you act human. She deserves your respect, not because I walked in, but because she's a human being. Those words hit like thunder across a world growing cold with indifference. The comment sections were flooded. I cried watching this. This man keeps proving he's the realest person in Hollywood. I want to be like this when I grow up, but the most unexpected part was what happened to Eleanor. The very next day, her apartment buzzer rang. It was a young woman in a suit, holding flowers and a letter. She introduced herself as a representative from the bank. We owe you more than an apology, she said, and we'd like to make it right. The letter explained they were launching a new program, the Eleanor Initiative, focused on better training for customer service involving elderly clients. A few days later, the mayor's office reached out. Then a news station. Then a national morning show. Everyone wanted to hear her story. Not Keanu's. Hers. And Eleanor, for the first time in her life, wasn't nervous to speak. She had been invisible long enough. The fire in her had been reignited. Sitting in her cozy living room with cameras rolling, she said, I didn't ask for attention. I just wanted to be treated like a person. But Keanu, he saw me. He saw all of us. Her interview went viral again. Celebrities reposted it. Schools used it in ethics classes. Retirement homes held screenings of the footage to remind staff why compassion matters. But Eleanor's favorite moment came in the form of a letter. A handwritten note from a 12-year-old girl in another state. It said, Dear Eleanor, my grandma passed away last year. I wish I had helped her more. I'm going to volunteer at a senior center now. Thank you for being brave. Love, Zoe. Tears rolled down Eleanor's cheeks as she read it. Not from sadness, but from the powerful realization that her story had reached hearts she would never meet and change them forever. As for Keanu, he stayed quiet. No interviews, no press releases, no tweets. He didn't need to explain himself because the world already knew this wasn't a publicity stunt. This wasn't about fame. It was about humanity. He received countless messages. Some from celebrities, others from regular folks, but he didn't respond to most. He simply watched with quiet gratitude. As the ripple continued. Until one day he received a letter too, from Eleanor. Written in careful, cursive handwriting. It sighed, "Dear Keanu, thank you for walking into my storm. You didn't just stand up for me. You reminded the world that kindness is louder than cruelty. You reminded me that I matter. I hope you know what you did went far beyond that bank. Love." Eleanor. Keanu read it in silence. Then smiled and folded it neatly, placing it beside a picture on his shelf, a photo of a younger version of himself, walking beside his late mother, holding her arm just the same. Sometimes the greatest roles we play aren't on a movie screen. They're in the quiet moments. No one is supposed to see. In the banks. In the rain. In the eyes of someone who forgot they mattered until you showed up. And Keanu, he just kept showing up.